Welcome back to Cozy Corners, a place where we turn your house into a home. Step into a world of home decor ideas, interior design inspirations, landscaping guide, and home design tips. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join our journey into a world of charm and sophistication. Ralph Lauren Christmas Home Tour 2025. Classic holiday elegance and cozy vintage charm. Imagine a timeless Christmas where every detail whispers stories of warmth and heritage. Imagine a holiday filled with elegant tartans, glowing candlelight, and nostalgic charm that wraps around you like a cherished memory. Let the spirit of Ralph Lauren's classic style transform your home into a cozy sanctuary this festive season. Step into a world of timeless warmth where a tartan-filled living room captures the spirit of a Ralph Lauren Christmas. A majestic pine tree glows in soft golden light, adorned with vintage brass ornaments and deep red ribbons. The rich textures of leather armchairs, wool throws, and aged wood offer an inviting charm that speaks of tradition and elegance. Nearby, the dining room glistens with silver candlesticks and cranberry glass, set against fine tartan linens that tell stories of past holidays. As you move toward the library, the ambience deepens. Books, fir garlands, and equestrian ornaments create a nostalgic retreat from the winter chill. It's more than decor. It's a feeling of coming home to a heritage you cherish. The season unfolds with warmth, familiarity, and classic American elegance. Beneath a grand mantel, cedar garlands intertwine with pinecones and velvet ribbon, framing plaid stockings in a fireside scene rich with tradition. The hearth glows softly, echoing a time when simplicity and elegance danced together at Christmas. In a rustic country nook, tartan cushions, miniature trees, and ski lodge ornaments create a space that feels personal and endearing. By the entryway, vintage bells, fir wreaths, and warm wood tones welcome guests with grace and a touch of nostalgia. The bedroom whispers of serene holiday mornings, where tartan bedding, cedar garlands, and antique urns cradle festive dreams. Every corner carries a memory, and every detail invites you to slow down and savor the beauty of tradition. In this home, Christmas is not just seen, it's deeply felt. heart of the home, a Ralph Lauren kitchen is dressed in tartan towels, dried oranges, and the scent of fir and cinnamon. Copper pots hang gracefully while vintage signs and pine trees nestle into corners of warm, rustic charm. A nearby reading nook offers a cozy moment of stillness, surrounded by wool blankets, tartan armchairs, and a fir tree filled with equestrian-themed ornaments. Each item, from brass lanterns to weathered pine floors, brings the quiet joy of holiday tradition into focus. Just beyond, a foyer greets with a bold tartan runner, antique sleds, and velvet bows trailing along garlanded moldings. These spaces aren't simply decorated, they're layered with love, heritage, and refined country grace. A Ralph Lauren Christmas whispers its story in textures, colors, and timeless charm. A vintage console dressed in cedar, hurricane lanterns, and tartan runners creates an inviting holiday entry steeped in tradition. Above, a pine wreath tied with velvet ribbon greets the season with stately elegance. The bedroom beyond whispers warmth, with tartan bedding, cedar garlands, and soft candlelight illuminating a peaceful holiday retreat. In the kitchen, plaid towels and fir garlands crown dark wood cabinets, while a rustic tabletop tree glows from its ceramic crock. A nearby reading nook cradles tradition in every corner. Tartan upholstery, pine garlands, and brass lanterns infuse the space with Ralph Lauren's timeless magic. Each scene is a graceful chapter in a holiday storybook, where comfort, style, and tradition harmonize like a cherished memory. foyer, elegance meets country warmth as a tartan runner pairs with pine garlands and vintage sleds dressed in holiday finery. Every detail feels personal. Brass sconces glow beside a bench wrapped in plaid pillows, echoing a season rooted in heritage. Along a classic sideboard, garlands of fir and eucalyptus cradle velvet candles and antique trays, all set beneath a wreath adorned with dried fruit and ribbon. A hearthside scene follows, filled with leather armchairs, stockings knit in rich hues, and candlelight flickering beside pine cones. Finally, a charming hutch tells its own story, lined in tartan, filled with holly-detailed china, and wrapped in rustic garlands of evergreen. These rooms aren't merely styled. They are curated with affection, memory, and the quiet confidence of timeless beauty. A bay window becomes a scene from a winter painting, framed by red plaid pillows, fir garlands, and vintage lanterns glowing beside snow-dusted panes. Inside, the quiet hum of holiday joy carries into a library table set with antique ledgers, cedar garlands, and a brass-rimmed magnifying glass, a nod to classic refinement. Above the cabinet, a wreath of pine and orange slices glows softly, surrounded by nutcrackers and bowls of holiday treasures. A rustic bench follows, draped in plaid and velvet, with vintage signs and garlands offering a festive welcome. Then, a breakfast nook comes alive with tartan banquettes, red ribbons, and snow-glimpsed windows, every detail crafted for comfort and cheer. These spaces embrace the season with gentle grace, offering not only beauty but deep, enduring joy. A dining hutch adorned in tartan and cedar reveals a charming holiday tableau. Crystal glassware gleaming beside dried oranges and vintage silver. Velvet bows grace cabinet doors, and flickering candlelight casts a warm spell over every heirloom touch. Beside it, a window's cape glows with lanterns on a deep sill, vintage boxes wrapped in plaid, and snow whispering at the glass. A literary table nearby brims with Ralph Lauren heritage, garlands weaving around old books, brass clock, and pine-scented elegance. A cabinet top filled with ceramic houses, berries, and brass candle holders tells of Christmases past and present, traditional, textured, and lovingly worn. Each detail is quiet, refined, and grounded in memories that age beautifully with time.